Hello and welcome to the Four Tier Fever podcast. Just before we get started, I do just want to say a huge thank you for all of the support on the two table prediction episodes. I know the four lads were doing it past midnight, past 1 a.m. So I know it was a long one or two long podcasts, but it seems that everyone's enjoyed them and I think that they've got an increased view count. So I'm really happy with that and thank you for all the support. Just before we get started, I do just want to say if you've not considered subscribing, please subscribe. We're really trying to push for content in this new season. Obviously, we've now started 2 episodes a week again, so we're really excited for what's to come. I know we're just under 1.2 thousand subscribers on YouTube. I'm not paying attention to that at the moment, though. I'm going to set us the goal right now that I want to reach 3,000 subscribers by the time that ball is kicked on the playoff final date at the end of the season. Now, I know that's a huge step. I mean, that's almost triple what we're on at the moment. But I mean, looking at the growth that we've had since January, I think it's possible. And I know that you guys are enjoying the content. And we're going to keep bringing it out to you and try and do it in more and better ways. So please let us know what you want to hear as well. But please consider subscribing. I also just want to say before we start, we are trying to build a network of football fans really for any content. Obviously, if you saw the playoff previews last season, we included fans from those teams included. I'm looking to do more of that and include people because, you know, we're not professionals. we don't have any degrees or anything. We just love League Two and we want more people, whether that be on social media or one podcast appearance or something like that. We just love fans from any clubs in League Two. So please, if you're interested, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Give us a message on any social media. And we'll obviously get in touch if we come up with any ideas that we do have along the way. But without further ado, let's get right into the episode. Well, welcome. It is just me again. So I'm going to be your host today. I think the other four, they're tired. I presume they're still sleeping after that big long episode for the table predictions. But we'll go through pretty much everything today. We're going to go through all the transfers that have happened this week, have a little look, have a bit of an overview of the squads coming up to League Two. Obviously, pre-season now over for many clubs. The season is about to start. It's right round the corner. So we'll have a look at that as well. Obviously, the other four did a table prediction. I wasn't included, so I might give my thoughts here and there along the way as well. Right, so getting into it, I mean, Accrington Stanley, I know for a fact that I put them rock bottom in the table predictions. I think most people did. Not had many business at the moment, and I don't think they're gonna continue to have much business going forwards. I think they've got a way of doing things, but whether I agree that it's gonna work out, I'm not too sure. I mean, the squad size at the moment is 25. That's about average for a League Two squad. And to be fair, their average age is also 25. But I'm not convinced by Accrington Stanley. Like I said, I did put them in 24th place. I think it's always going to be tricky for any manager coming in. Obviously, John Coleman was in. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm 21 years old. I'm pretty sure he was in that job for almost half of my life, if not over. Which is, you know, a huge statement when you think about it like that. And I think that he did really well, and many would consider Accrington Stanley to be fighting above their weight in League One, what they were at that time. And obviously, they'd since got relegated at some point in between. John Coleman left. And I always thought that it was going to be hard for someone to fill his boots. You know, he was a huge character, and he was, I mean, what I would consider to be a legend at Accrington Stanley. As I say, a club fighting, you know, potentially above their weight in League One. Well, whilst they were doing it with John Coleman in charge, I think it's always going to be difficult to sort of gather the squad, the club, the community, and go again with another manager. John Dillon, completely fine. I think potentially we rate him lower. Obviously, we did a manager ranking video. I think potentially we rate him lower because of that. I think you're always going to struggle when you come into a job that's done so well in the past. Obviously, maybe not the season that John Coleman left, but in the past, 5-6 seasons, they've maintained that form, and it was always going to be difficult. They're only made 3 additions, but like I say, it's a squad of 25. It's a healthy number. A few more outgoings though, and we'll see what's to come. But I think their squad overall isn't bad, and I don't think they've got a terrible, amount of depth. I think depth is fine. It's maybe just increasing that quality in a few areas. But they do like to take from the National League. We've seen it with Freddie Sass. We've seen it with Isaac Sinclair just there, both of them there, and taking that youth and taking that experience in non-league football. And it works for them. It has done in the past. They've been on a downward slope 3 years now in this division, and I'm not sure how long they're going to remain in it. For me, they are rock bottom, but we'll hope to see more transfer business from them in the coming days, hopefully before the season starts. Obviously, transfer window not over just yet. Next team would be Barnet. Now, as far as I'm aware, they've made 0 signings this week. They did have a few last week, looking at Kane Smith, Dennis Adeniran, and Joe Hugo, 3 big additions, really big additions there, covering defence, midfield, and attack. I think they've really improved their squad. I think they're well and truly ready for League Two. I mean, you look at their squad size at 27 now, one of the biggest in the division. I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't many more additions for Barnet, maybe 1 or 2. I mean, you're looking at that list there. They've made 1 loan signing, as far as I'm aware. So they've got a few more still to go, potentially on loan, but I think that might be it, just improving the overall quality of the squad. Obviously, those leaving, you're looking at the teams that joining, probably National League standard, other than Olowu, who went to Salford City. And the standard of the players they're bringing in, some National League, some League Two, obviously a couple. Romany Critchlow, Kane Smith coming from League One, and obviously Scotland for Dennis Adeniran. But they're very, very good players for the quality within League Two. And I think they could be one to watch going forward. I know there's a few comments on the table predictions about where sort of people would place them. I know the sort of average prediction, I did the table for that and worked it all out. And I think purely just based on averages, Oldham was above Barnet. In my prediction, I'd actually got Barnet to finish 6th. I think they might sneak into the playoffs. I think it's a good, healthy squad. I mean, squad age again, 26. They're experienced and they're on the up. They've got that confidence, and those promoted teams tend to do well going into the new season in the new league. And I think they've got a good manager and are well on the way to doing that. So fingers crossed for Barnet. Whether there's more additions, we'll wait to see. But so far, so good. The next team, Barrow, obviously underwinged now. The biggest concern for me would be their squad size of 21. Now, when you think of it, your matchday squad is 18 players, a couple of injuries, and suddenly they can't fill their bench. And that's a huge worry for me. You look at the outgoings there, so many players. Obviously, Dom Telford there going to Gateshead this week, and not as many ins. Whether they can rectify that, we'll wait and see. But I think going into the final week of the pre-season, heading into that starting week, you're not going to see many players signed this week playing on Saturday. Squad of 21 just worries me slightly. I'm not aware if they've got any injuries. If they do, big concerns. Obviously, Dean Campbell, Keane Spence, Robbie Gotts even. They've got to be 3 of the better players in that Barrow side. Probably 3 of the best. Theo Vassell still not found a club somehow. Whether some League Two team picks him up, I'm sure they will. He'd be highly sought after. But they're just... I believe in the manager. I believe in the way they're doing things, but I'm lacking a bit of inspiration with their signings so far. I mean, you look at it, they've got one... I know some players play out of position and things like that, and I'm not sure how they're going to set up. But at the moment, Barrow have 1 traditional fullback and 3 traditional centre backs, and it's not fully instilling confidence within me. Obviously, if you're playing a back 4, I would want 3 fullbacks. If you're playing a back 5, you'd want more than 3 centre backs because they'd be the ones on the pitch. So there's more defensive additions to come for Barrow. Obviously, an attack have brought in Tyler Walker. I think it's a brilliant addition. A few other players, I mean, even Jack Herring to replace one of Campbell Spence and Gotts. I think that's a brilliant addition. Obviously, Charlie Raglan, formerly of Oldham, just got promoted with them. That's a huge addition, but I'm still waiting to see a little bit more. Regan Booty coming in recently. I don't think it was this week, but fairly recently. I think that was another good addition. But still waiting to see more from Barrow. The next team, Bristol Rovers. Now, many people have put them to finish inside the top three, really. I'm not too sure. I think they'll be there or thereabouts, but obviously those promoted, relegated teams even seem to fairly struggle in their first season. Obviously, the past two seasons we've seen Carlisle United and Forest Green Rovers go back-to-back relegations. I think it's really hard to stop that downward spiral in League Two. I think motivation and sort of the mental side of the game plays a lot into League Two football, more than the technical side, really, in my opinion. But we'll wait and see what happens. Bristol Rovers are obviously Darrell Clark, huge manager, brilliant at what he does. But they're still lacking some players. A squad of 22, again, you can see the outgoings to the ingoings. It's a huge difference. But to see that a lot of those outgoings still haven't found a club, it would suggest that they got rid of some of the dead weight from last season's relegation season and brought in high quality players. You're looking at Stockport County, Oxford United, Mansfield, Bolton, Coventry, Peterborough. They're all players who are brought in on frees or for a fee, but from teams in higher divisions. And I think that's something you want to see. Obviously, only on paper, but looking on paper, if you're bringing in players from higher divisions, they're clearly well rated, rated higher than League Two or below. So in theory, they should play like that. Obviously, there's no guarantees, but I think they're really good additions, and I think it's an exciting thing to see. You know, those fullback areas with Sparks and Southern Hales, I think completed, and potentially you worry that players coming in won't want to join that now because they're not going to get a chance. But we'll wait and see. Obviously, it's about versatility as well. Again, a young side, 25 really, on average in age, which is again a good portion. It's slapped down the middle. You know, you want that bit of experience, you want that a bit of youth, a bit of energy. And I think they've got that, and you can see that in the signings, obviously with Alfie Kilgore for the likes of providing that bit of experience. But I think it's a good squad, and I think it's a good additions. But again, same as Barrow, you're going to be waiting a little while to see any real improvement. And any more additions probably won't play next weekend. Whether they bring them in before the end of the window, it's going to be a race against time now. You'd want them in sooner. I am not sure about Bristol Rovers. I think I was the lowest out of all of us to predict them in 7th place below the promoted Barnet. It's going to be an interesting season. I trust in the manager. I trust in the players that he's brought in, but stopping that downward spiral is something that's so hard to do for so many teams in this division. Whether they can do it, I think it'll take time, and I think that they might climb the table towards the second half of the season potentially, but they need the right additions, and I think they need a lot more of them. I mean, for me, you'd be looking at least 6 signings, get that squad up to maybe at least 20, at least 5 signings, get that squad up to your 27s, and it'll be really healthy, really good in depth, and really good in quality. And then I can see them pushing. I really wouldn't be surprised to see them in that top 3 come the end of the season. The next team would be Bromley, and our first edition of the week. It's taken a little while. There haven't been too many so far. There's been a few double signings, triple signings in the league for certain teams, but others have been really quiet. Obviously, just working their way up to train for the new season. Now. With Bromley, obviously, there's potential injury with Carl Jenkinson. I've not totally found much information about that, but it's a slight worry. As to their fullback spot, obviously he's a huge player for them. So we'll wait and see what happens. But Dylan Adai on a free from Millwall, that's a brilliant addition. and we'll wait and see what he is like. Bromley, again, they're an okay team. I think they're fairly comfortable. Obviously, it's another goalkeeper with Grant Smith. I've never been totally comfortable with Grant Smith. I think maybe playoff final woes of Boreham Wood when he was there, and seeing the couple of goals that he conceded against Tranmere Rovers sort of, it weighs on my mind slightly. Hopefully not his. Hopefully he's recovered from that loss in the playoff final. But another strong addition, and probably an addition I thought that Bromley would probably need come this transfer window. I think they've brought in good players. Hondermark was a player that I was looking at. I think he's a brilliant midfielder. Midfielders were hard to come by in this transfer window. So to sign someone like him from a League One team, it was a really good addition. Obviously, forming that partnership with Northampton Town after signing Mitch Pinnock. Another brilliant addition, probably one of the best. If we do a top 10 transfers of this window, I think he'll be up there. Another solid addition, obviously, Kyle Cameron will do a job in League Two, and so on. Outgoings, not too much to worry about. I think Miles Weston, you're looking at a National League club probably for him. Done a really good job in the National League. I mean, countless seasons there. Obviously, like Harry McCurdy now leaving on a free, stuff like that. But it's not anything too worrying. And the fact that they've kept Michael Cheek so far is probably the biggest indicator of where Bromley will be come the end of the season. Again, squad of 22. It's looking a little light to me. I think they need a few more ins. I mean, you're comparing it to some of the other squads, and it's a stark contrast. But a squad age of 27, they've got that experience. They just need to have a bit more energy on the pitch. Obviously, only one loan signing, so there'll be more to come, I'm sure. And I think we believe in Andy Woodman, not only a friend of the channel, but a solid manager in League Two. And I know he's going to know what to do. It's just whether he can get it done in time before the window shuts. And for that reason, I've put Bromley in 13th. I've sort of think they're going to regress slightly. I don't think they're going to be in a playoff charge. I think they're going to be in a mid-table, comfortable, work their way to next season. But it's about stabilising for those clubs. Often you get promoted, you perform really well in that first season, the second season. It's about stabilising it and making your mark in League Two, standing your ground. And I think Bromley are going to do that well. I just don't think they're going to be up there with some of the best in the division. And then we get on to Cambridge United. Now, Cambridge United is obviously one of the best signings of the summer. Pelly, Ruddock, and Mpanzu. You can't say anything else. He's going to be a brilliant addition, one of the best. Like I say, I think the transfer business so far. Ben Knight is an interesting one. I really like him. I think he's a really high-rated youth player. Whether he can do it, he's not quite showed it in the men's game so far, but I'm really excited by him. Former Man City Academy. I think he's got so much potential. He just needs to find his home, his place to stay and work, and I think he'll really get there. Ben Perrington, Don Ball, both brilliant signings. Jake Eastwood, again, solid signing for this level. But Mpanzu has got to be the one to consider, one of the best. You can't say anything else. I think the way that he has climbed the Football League, the loyalty he has showed, the determination, the passion he showed, he's got the entire thing that you need, the entire package for League Two. And I'm really excited to see him perform. Like I said, a lot of outs. A couple of players I think could have made it at this level. Ben Stevenson, Paul Digby, both in the midfield, easily could have made it at this level. But when you bring in someone like Mpanzu, you can't really complain, can you? As I say, it's difficult for those sides to sort of stabilise after the relegation. I've got them in 12th. I think they're a good side. I think, solid to build on. Zach Bradshaw's another one that I'm excited to see. Obviously, Tranmere last season, he didn't perform well, but his confidence was shot for whatever reason. We don't need to go into that. But he improved slightly under Andy Crosby, but I think his time was done there. And he had a couple of things going on. But I think, again, another player who needs to find his home, obviously leaving on a free, I think it's a good addition for Cambridge. And I really think it's the type of club that he would improve at, and I think that he will do well. Maybe not next season, but it's a player that will develop. 23 players in their squad. They're looking okay. I think there's a couple more to come in. Still for them. Again, no loans so far. So you'll be looking at that loan market the last few weeks of the window. Not anything unusual for these clubs to have no loans in so far, but you've got to start looking towards that when you've built the squad and you just need those few extra pieces to that puzzle. Again, bang average rate, age range 27, really slightly old, but they know what they're doing, and those loans will bring down that age. Solid manager. I wouldn't expect amazing things. I'd be surprised if they are in that playoff race, but I think they're again a comfortable mid-table side that can do well in this division. I don't think there's any chance that they're going to be in that relegation battle. I think less and less by the day of a chance they'll be in that relegation battle with the signings they're making so far, and I think there's a couple of rumoured as well, so we'll wait and see. But again, another solid team, and I'm excited to see them in League Two next season. The next team, though, Cheltenham Town. Now, I know Jordan talked about them on the last transfer episode. I've brought in one more player, Ryan Broom. I'm not totally convinced, if I'm honest. I'm not sure what more they're gonna offer to League Two. The players that went out are, I wouldn't say much better quality, but a quality that they need to consistently perform at, and I'm not sure that those brought in truly answer that. Cheltenham with a squad size of 21, again, I can only echo everything that Jordan said. I think they're putting all their eggs in one basket on that takeover being done and getting those signings in before the window shuts. Do I think they're going to do that? No. Takeovers can be tricky. Takeovers can take a long time, even when you think they're right around the corner. We know that more than anyone with the takeover that we had, or we're having, or might not have, potentially don't have. Whatever happens with that, I think you're always going to have those question marks. And I don't think they've truly got the squad ready for it. As I say, again, 21 players. If I'm not sure, but if they have a couple injuries, you're going to be struggling. And I think it could be a struggling season for Cheltenham Town. I know that I'm pretty sure in our average projection we put them to be relegated. I think there's only one person who actually put them to be relegated, but we all just knew that they were going to have a poor season, and so they did fall into that drop. I've not. I think they'll finish 22nd. I think they'll be in that battle, but I think they'll be able to slightly get out of it. It's not the most inspiring window for Cheltenham. I'd be interested to see if Cheltenham fans agree, but I just, the players that have left haven't totally been important, but I think the players that have come in are of equal quality, and there's less of them. But you never know. We'll see what else happens. Obviously, one loan used. We'll see what more they can do, and maybe they'll splash out in a big signing for that final week of the window, or even this week heading into the new season. But we'll wait and see for that one. Chesterfield then. Chesterfield, again, haven't brought in any players this week, but the players they have brought in previously have been huge signings. Ryan Stirk, Adam Lewis, Dylan Mpanzu being the pick of a little bunch. Again, he will be one of the best additions to League Two this window. To bring him on loan and then have him return to Blackburn Rovers, I'm pretty sure it was. And then, it was. And then get him on a free. It's a brilliant addition. A few of the players I like Tanton, I like Butterfield. Be interesting to see them perform next season. I think they'll do really well. I think everyone is predicting. Chesterfield are a team with an experienced manager. They're a team that have got that funding behind them, and they're a team that are raring and ready to go in League Two next season. 28 players. They've got a complete squad. I wouldn't be surprised by a couple of loans, but as you can see, they've already made 2. they're raring to go. I've put them in second place. I think most of us had them second or third. I wouldn't be surprised if they put up a fight for that title, to be honest with you. Maybe a couple more additions needed. I'd maybe consider it greedy, but I'd potentially want another striker on board. But that's really going over the top, and I think Chesterfield are comfortable as they are, and I think they'll do well in this division. Average age of 28, and that's maybe why I mention it. I think they need a potentially slightly younger one, but that might be in there. That might come soon. We'll wait and see. But a really exciting squad so far, and I'm excited to see how they do. And I think the outgoings are from that sort of National League period. I think they're the players. I mean, you can see York, for the first two. Obviously, a good side, but potentially, you know, that lower quality than what Chesterfield are really trying to push for that League One standard. And you've got teams to go into other League Two and National League teams who I think they've improved a vast amount, and we'll see from what's to come for them. Colchester is another one. Again, I mean, they've got a squad of 23. It's not bad, but they've not had too many outgoings and not too many ingoings or incomings. And I think it'll be an interesting season for them. I can't say it enough, and people will think I'm going to get the Cowleys a Valentine's Day card at this point with the amount I've talked about them. I agree with the style of managing. I think it's really nice and fresh, and I think I really like watching them perform. And I think any project with the Cowleys, and they do well, and they show that. But you've got to put your faith in them for a number of years. And Lincoln saw that, and I think Colchester will too. I've put them in 9th place, which, on reflection, potentially not. Potentially they could sneak into that playoff. But again, it's a project. I don't think Colchester fans will be too bothered if they don't make the playoffs this season. I think them in Grimsby, it's a time for stabilising once again. I've mentioned that word. They've had a brilliant season. Next season, just stabilise, keep in that position, see if you can maintain it, and then the following season really push on. I think that's often what you'll see from these League Two teams. Don't put all your eggs in that promotion basket just yet. See if you can stabilise. But Will Goodwin was probably my pick of the bunch. Really, really good player for this division. Again, one of my strikers that I would have said I wanted. I think he will produce the goals for Colchester when they're lacking, and I think they needed that. And they've answered it quite quickly. A couple more additions, obviously, looking quite good. I still think potentially they could add one or two more, but I think their squad is fairly comfortable with what the Cowleys want to produce. I think if you get that squad up to 25 is pretty much the magic number for me. If you get up to 25, 26, then you'll be laughing and well on your way. So that'd be exciting to see. Crawley Town, you're always going to expect additions and outgoings. There's no different. Another outgoing, Liam Fraser. That's about it for Crawley. A squad of 24, slap bang in the middle. Same with average age, 25.9 to 26 years old on average. They're a relegated team. I think they're going to struggle. I think you can't have that many outgoings and incomings and be stable. It's just not how it works. I like signing Harvey Davis from Liverpool. I like Jay Williams. I like Kamonga Chimanga. I like Flower. I like Pereira. Sorry. I like Reece Brown, McCurdy. I like the signings, actually. Naming them, I like all the signings. I think they're good signings, but you just can't keep on. You can't keep on having transfers like that. I don't see how it's sustainable. But we'll wait and see. You never know; they could surprise us. But I do think the manager and the players they brought in are quite good, which is sort of taking me by surprise looking at that list. I've put them in 19th. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they're slightly higher. I think it's a good team, but you can't keep. They need to figure out how to keep players and how to build a stable squad, because this is just not how football works, in my opinion. I think you can't sustain that length of time. Players will be looking at other clubs after one season now, even after half a season. because their time might be up at the club. You never know. And it's a revolving doors sort of situation. Undisclosed fee for Hepburn, Murphy, Mullicky, Kenita, Kelly, not Kelly, sorry, Kamara, Feely, and Swan. I mean, how many? It's they're getting undisclosed fees, but you're not building the squad that a manager wants. They need that stability with a manager, with players, and get a squad. If you get a squad that Scott Lindsay loves, you're going to see success. Crawley saw that. They need to see it again. So hopefully improvements for them. Crewe now. Crewe have signed 2 players. I think the really big players. I think Emre, Tezgel will be probably one of the best signings in the division. Obviously on loan from Stoke, it'll be interesting to see if he lasts the season there. I think he'll produce double figures at least. And then Kane Herring's leaving to make space for Lewis Mould. I would have made that trade when we left, when we transferred Kane Herrings out of the club at Tranmere. So it's no surprise that they have here. I think it's a good swap. I think it's another experienced striker coming in, one going out. I think that makes sense. Again, Crewe aside, I'm really excited about 28 players. That's probably the squad completed right about now. What they've made 3 loans. So again, that's fairly comfortable for sides. I've put them in 28th. I think they are going to regress slightly, but that was before the signing of Emre Tezgel. If he gets game time, I'm sure it'll be much higher. And I'd be excited to see how he does in League Two. Once again, I think he really will perform. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're mid-table, top half, pushing and looking a little bit higher. Fleetwood Town then. Fleetwood Town have signed Chet Evans coming back to Fleetwood from Preston North End. I think he was in a player coaching role there, so it'll be interesting to see if he takes that on. Another experienced striker, obviously next to James Norwood. James Norwood I can't talk highly enough of. I don't think he'll offer the same that he offered at Tranmere last time he was in League Two, but I think he's a really good addition, and he will add some much needed quality to that Fleetwood attack and a bit of experience. He's already talked about taking those original Fleetwood strikers under his wing, and I'm sure he and Ched Evans will be able to do that going into the new season. I think swapping them for Finley Crossadere, obviously striker going out, I think that's a good swap. Obviously big outgoings for Fleetwood Town in Phoenix Patterson and Brendan Weirdo being the biggest of the bunch. Obviously former captain of Fleetwood and a really good player. I think he's always had that rumour of leaving. Never quite and left Fleetwood, but he has done this time. I think it's a good manager. I think it's a good squad, and I think it is really exciting. Obviously only 22 players. You're going to be struggling to reach that cap. But they've still got 5 loans to use. However many they use, 2, 3, you're going to sign those much needed improvements. But again, a squad full of youth, full of experience. You've got that middle ground. I think they will do well in this division. I had them as my dark horses for playoffs. I think they'll finish 5th. I think they'll get promoted through those playoffs because I really enjoyed Pete Wild's football, and I think that he can galvanise a team when I talk about that. Morale and that motivation. I think he is one of those managers that can really bring that for teams, and so I think he will do that for Fleetwood. Do I think they've improved this transfer window? Possibly not, but I think a full season under Pete Wild will do them well, and that's an improvement in itself. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make a couple new really good additions before the end of the window. The next team rather, is Gillingham. Now again, they've been really quiet. They've kicked some players out, and they've got only 3 additions so far. I think they are slightly lacking with that, but I have a sneaky suspicion there'll be a few more in before the end of the window. Like I say, they've used no loans, but Seb Palmer Holden being the pick of the bunch for their incomings, I'm really, really excited about him. I think he really went under the radar so much because they brought him in so early. I think he's going to be one of the best strikers in this division, and I'm going to say it, and we can clip that. I think I'll hit double digits easy. I think it'll be a really good striker to watch for Gillingham. Sam Vokes obviously adding that experience as well. more outs than ins. Obviously, those outs that you're looking at, your Ebbsfleet, Sutton, Forest Green, they're not going Chatham. They're not going to teams in this division, so they're clearly improving on those signings. A squad size of 25, again, around about done. Squad age around 26, good age again, but I'd want to see a few more loan signings. I just think they need that extra boost to the squad, and they could be right up there. I think the difficulty last season was with managers. They couldn't find that stability, and they just kept going wrong. I think the chairman has got it sorted now. I think it's a really good manager in place, and I think the squad is looking kind of healthy. And it helps if the manager likes the squad already, considering that they're quite happy with only 3 incoming so far. But I'd hope for a couple more from a neutral point of view. Grimsby Town, then, Jordan's team, have signed Sam Lavelle from Crawley United. Mixed reviews about him, but I think he will do well at this level. I think he's a comfortable player. Obviously, their outs and ins are pretty similar right now. They've got a squad of 24 players, average age 26. Again, comfortable. It's what you're going to expect from a League Two team. I think they could make a couple more additions. Again, some loan signings probably for them. That's about it. But I think it'll really help them build in League Two next season. I don't think they're going to perform as well as they did. I think, again, David Ortel, it's a project. He's a project manager. He doesn't do things straight away. Stabilise in this division, stabilise in that top half around about the playoffs, and you'll do well the next season. So I put Grimsby in 10th place. I think that's comfortable for them. I think Grimsby fans should be happy with that, because you're looking to build on it. Anything above is a bonus, but I think you've got to be comfortable with that top half, because it's a huge increase on what Grimsby were doing, obviously before last season. Denver Hume obviously going out, but there's a couple of new good additions into the side. I'm especially excited to see Jamie Walker perform. I'm sure he'll get more game time than he did at Bradford and perform really well. Harrogate Town then. So Harrogate Town have did no transfer business this week. Same ins as outs. A squad of 22, squad age of 28. I think they need a few more loan signings. Obviously, one in is Bobby Faulkner from Doncaster Rovers. I think they need a lot more. I think they're going to struggle this year. I think there's no surprise to that. I think many people have put them down to struggle. But obviously, we'll wait and see what happens. I've put them in 21st. I think they're going to be well within that relegation battle. But I think so many people have said, and I think Jake said, especially in the table predictions, they just always find a way out. They just always do. They just always find a way. I'm not sure, but it's going to be the one season that I give them the benefit of the doubt. I think I've always put them there or thereabout in terms of relegation. Whether that be 22nd, 23rd, or 24th, I think they're actually going to finish 21st. I think Cheltenham worry me more than they do, but I think both teams need additions and quickly to build on that quality within the squad. The next team, MK Dons, huge team in the division. Now, I know in the table prediction video, there was sort of conversation about we'd all overestimated MK Dons' team this season. I completely disagree with that. I've put them first. I think if they don't go up as champions, it will be, they won't see it as one, but it will be an underwhelming season. You look at Hepburn Murphy performing in League One with Crawley, Aaron Collins performing well with Bolton Wanderers in League One, Will Collar performing in League One, Gethin Jones performing in League One, Nathaniel Mendes-Lang performing with Derby County. You know, they've signed League One players, quality League One players who were playing consistently for the most part. And players who left either haven't found a club or have gone to this division or potentially will go lower. And I think that's a huge sign of improvement within the actual squad itself. A squad that, to be honest, the players they had left after last season, I think we put a couple in our half, or team of the half season when we did it in January. I think we put a couple of MK Dons players in that because of the quality they show. And a couple of players who weren't MK Dons players did sign for MK Dons by the end of January, which shows the intent they've got. It shows the quality of player they've got. And potentially they've not performed as well as they could have done. Well, absolutely they've not performed as well as they could have done. But how you can say a squad that has brought in those additions, all probably League One standard, along with a squad that's had League One players, or standard players, in my opinion, I mean, you look through it, Craig McGillivray is good enough keeper. Offord, Shering, Lawrence Maguire should be good enough. You look at Will Collar, Liam Kelly, Aaron the Man, one of the best players for Notts County, and they signed him. Joe Tomlinson was one of the best left backs in the division at that point. Dan Crowley, again, really good player for Notts County last season. Alex Gilby, really good player for MK Dons. Lemony Evans, good. Nathaniel Mendes-Lang, good. Jonathan Lecco, if he can stay fit and consistent, good. Aaron Collins, Russian Hepburn Murphy, Scott Hogan, Callum Hendry. How can you say this team can't win League One, League Two even? You know, it's beyond me. I think they need to challenge. They need to be up there. And I think to predict them anything otherwise, I do think they're going to have issues. Obviously, Paul One's a brilliant manager as well towards that, but I do think they're going to have issues. It's just the way that MK Dons do. They need to figure out what went wrong. They need to implement a new style of football, and they need to correct certain things. And I think it will take time. So I wouldn't be surprised if they struggle and they don't finish up there. But you can't not predict them. You can't not expect them to finish first with the players they've got. And I think that's it on paper. You've got to put them first, but I wouldn't be surprised if they falter slightly. But I mean, they've got to get promoted. Surely they've got to get promoted this season. It's just got to happen. Newport County then. So they have the biggest squad in the division with 30 players. Huge squad. Even though they've had so many outgoings, as far as I'm aware. I'm taking this data from Transfer Market, by the way, so if I'm wrong, blame them. Not me, please. Newport have made 2 loan signings, obviously, I think last week or the last 2 weeks. Good additions. I think that they're built on what the squad they have. They do it in their own way, don't they? And I think it's working. Really interested to see how Habib Ogane performs. That'll be a really interesting one to see. I think they'll do really well in this division. Obviously, from Manchester United. The outgoings probably not good enough. I think they've all gone to the division below or don't have a club yet. So it pretty much shows where Newport County are. Do I think they're going to improve massively? No. Do I have faith in the manager? No. But I think some of what we were talking about on the table predictions or the manager predictions, I think people are predicting him to finish negatively when you really can't say. And he might surprise us. So I think I'm going to be the optimist out of all of us. I think I was in terms of the table predictions. I put them in 20th. I think many people thought they'd be lower than that. I'm not completely hopeful in the squad, but I think the manager might surprise us. So we'll wait and see. The next team then, Notts County now. They've got a weird way of doing things, don't they? Obviously, they've signed Kelly Roos, which I think is a brilliant goalkeeping addition after Alex Bass left for a good undisclosed fee to Peterborough United. They've lost a lot of good players. Well, I mean, Alex Bass probably the best keeper in the division, and David McGoldrick. 2 are probably the biggest losses for them. Ollie Norburn is a huge addition, and I think Kelly Roos will do a job in goal as well. I think that's a good addition. We'll wait and see on the others. Obviously, they've made 3 loan additions. It's been interesting to see. Now, their way of running things and their way of connecting with their footballing board is an interesting way. And obviously, we'll see what Martin Patterson does. It's a new way of playing football. It's a new way of managing football and running a football club. And I'd be really interested to see how they do. Obviously, with a squad of 26, they're pretty much there or thereabouts at this point in time. So they've got a consistent squad that will start the season. But I've put them in 16th place. I think they're really going to regress. I just comes with a slight air of caution around their new style of doing things, and I think it might need tweaking slightly as the season goes on or going into next season. But I think they'll be safe. I think they've got the quality in the squad to be safe and completely fine. It'll just be about working that strategy up. And it could be brilliant. We never know. It could be brilliant. But anything new in football always brings me a little bit of worry. But we'll wait and see. Oldham Athletic. Mickey Mellon's Oldham Athletic. Now, I have put them in 8th place. I think the signings they've made have been really good players. Obviously, the ones going out have been good, but I don't think anything life-changing. I think, like I said, they brought in some really good signs: Ryan Woods, Chuck Stevens. Obviously, the Tranmere players, however many of them, Tom Pett was really good last season, so I think he's a good addition to maintain. And again, Kai Payne obviously injured at the moment. I think he's just been injured in pre-season after his first game, but when he comes back, will be a really good addition to their side, to any League Two side really, but especially to Oldham at this point in time. Now, Oldham have a squad of 26, again, comfortable squad age of 28. You'll see that with Mickey Mellon's side. He likes that experience. But I think, like I say, I've put them in 8th. I think they'll do really well. Obviously, notoriously promoted teams do better in League Two in their first season. But I also think Oldham is just a team that should be in League Two, and I think Mickey Mellon can do wonders with any team. Did wonders with the budget that he had at Tranmere Rovers. When he starts to be able to spend money, he climbs higher and higher. And I think going back to our manager rankings video, I think it's slightly though I would have put him much higher because of how high I rate him with the budget he had at Tranmere. He did so well. Obviously, maybe not in his second stint with the club, but I think he's a really good motivational manager. I think he talked during his first stint at Tranmere about working with Mike Jackson, not the singer, the football coach who's now with Vincent Kompany, I'm pretty sure, wherever he is. He did have a Burnley job at some point in the Premier League, but I think that he talks with his time with Mike Jackson. Jackson worked on the tactical side. Mickey Mellon was much the motivator, the one-on-one with players, really, really good at that kind of thing. And I think that's what he brings to League Two. I think he's not the most tactically comfortable, and I say that lightly. I think he's good at tactics. His tactics work in League Two. They're proven to work. The successes he's seen in League Two, the successes he's seen in the National League. He's a really good manager for this level. But do I see, the qualities of a whatever manager can really pinpoint tactics? I don't think he really does that. I think he's much the motivator, and I think that works in League Two, and it'll prove well. And I think those Tranmere players going back to him proves how good of a manager he is if players want to play with him again. So they'll be exciting to see next season. Now then, Salford City, they have been the big spenders this week. They brought in Mark Howard from Wrexham. Okay, Matthew Young, a much better goalkeeper addition from Sunderland, I'm pretty sure. He was a goalkeeper addition, and then Kadeem Harris as well from Carlisle United, one of the better performers in that Carlisle team that got relegated. I think 3 brilliant additions. Again, Carl Robinson, a brilliant manager. I've put them in 4th place. I think they're a good-looking squad. 23 players, so there's still room to grow. Obviously, only 1 loan, so there'll be more of that. And I think they'll be a really exciting young team as well. Going into the next season, and I've got high hopes for them. Obviously, those players out have gone to the divisions below. Obviously, Curtis Tilt was an interesting one to Bradford. Whether people agree with that, I'm not sure. But I think those players that haven't found a club yet, you can see reasons why. And they brought in players that are good players from divisions above, so you can only be hopeful for Salford City. Like I say, I put them in the playoffs. I think they'd expect a good season like that. I think the money they can spend in the situation they've got set up, you can only hope for an improvement and hopefully, a playoff win, maybe a promotion for Salford. They've been eyeing that up for so long, and maybe this year is their year. But we will wait and see. Now then, Shrewsbury Town is an interesting one. They've signed Harris Emre, a huge goalkeeper from Manchester United's academy. I think he's a really good addition. Formerly of Chester, I've seen him play for Chester. I think he's brilliant in the National League North. Can he do it at League Two? I think he's improved since then, so I'm sure he will be able to. And Anthony Scully, another good addition for them as well. No, I think there's a lot of players have left. Still a few yet to find a club in and around this level. Obviously, they've been relegated from League One, and I always say it's really difficult for those teams that have been relegated from League One to then come into League Two and really challenge. I think they struggle to find their feet, and that's my only worry with Shrewsbury. I don't have full confidence in their squad, the manager, the situation off the pitch. I think it's all bringing up question marks. I don't think it's concerning me, but bringing up question marks. And I think, like I said, before with your Carlisles, your Forest Greens, you always get that one that's there or there about that relegation zone after a tough season in League One. And I think Shrewsbury, unfortunately, might be that. I've put them in 23rd. I put them to be relegated. I don't think they will, but I think there's always that one team, and I wanted to be a little bit different and have a different shout. But I've seen many people put them there or thereabouts, so potentially I'm not on my own. I mean, a squad of 20, you're asking for trouble, really. I think they need 5 more players in before the end of the window. They've already used up one loan spot on a good keeper, to be fair, but still, you need those additions and quickly. Will they do them? We'll wait and see. An aging squad as well, age 27 on average. Yeah, I need to see much more from Shrewsbury before the window ends. Obviously, preferably this week before the season starts. Those teams that are going to be playing Shrewsbury in the first 1 or 2 weeks will be eyeing this up like a good squad to take advantage of at the moment, with how few players they have. But yeah, they need more players, and potentially then predictions will change, but they need them now and they need them quickly, and they need them in the right positions. But we'll wait and see. Swindon Town, then they've signed Billy Bowden. I think is a good addition, and Thomas Wilson-Brown on loan from Leicester City. I think 2 good additions, old and new, or old and young, and I think they'll be both solid for that Swindon Town team, obviously managed by Ian Holloway, who did a brilliant thing last season. Promotion form, really, wasn't it, from him as soon as he joined? 28 players now, pretty much a full squad, a young squad as well, 24 average age. So it'll be exciting to see what they can do. I think the outgoings, as you can see, we might have missed some, by the way, but as far as I'm aware, not many have joined clubs, and I think that shows the quality of those outgoings. The incomings have all been from above loans or younger players or teams from here or thereabouts. I think they're building a good squad. I can only be really excited to see how Jake Tabor does. I think everyone is. How coming from those lower levels can you perform in League Two? And he's shown that in pre-season really well. And I think he's one of those players that will try as hard as he can to perform, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does well and even gets double digits in this division, really, which is a huge shot for him, and I think he'd love that. But I wouldn't be surprised with it. I think he can do it. It'd be really exciting to see where he goes after that. Tranmere Rovers, then, my team have signed Billy Blacker and Taylor Harris, both on loan, so 2 loan signs for Tranmere now. And those going out, we haven't put it in there, but Tom Davies has gone to Salisbury. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Luke Nara has gone to Boreham Wood, and Chris Murray gone to Fylde. So all National League, North and South. Obviously 2 to Oldham, 1 to Hartlepool as well. They needed those players out with the greatest respect to them. I think they were good players and they were solid enough, but we needed to start again. We needed to start fresh. And I'm really excited about the incomings so far for Tranmere Rovers. Squad size of 23, so not the smallest by a few players in the division, but they still need more players. I think we need a couple of centre backs. You're looking at that defence. You've got, say, Ethan Bristow gets injured on the left-hand side. He's been injured twice now in pre-season, if I'm correct. Say he gets injured on that left-hand side. You've got Patrick Brough who'd move across. But then you're left with Jordan Turnbull, Nathan Smith, Leo Connor, and Jason Lowe potentially in that defence as those centre-backs. One more injury and you're screwed. So I would desperately want 2 defensive players. Whether you get a cover for Cameron Orban, who can also play centre-back, is another question. Maybe just 2 centre-backs, but I think we desperately need them. And then I'd be quite comfortable in that defence. I think it's a good quality defence. I'm just really worried about any injuries and any concerns like that. But we'll wait and see. And then in attack, I think we're all aware we need that striker. I think we're in touch and distance of signing a striker now, potentially on loan. And I think we all know that we need that. An old aging squad at 28, but I think the younger players that are coming through are good enough, and I think they're exciting to see. I've got us to finish in 14th. I did have us originally to finish 18th, and then these 2 players signed, and Richie Smallwood signed, to be fair. I need to see a little bit more from Tranmere, just to feel comfortable enough. I think if we sign that striker and like I say, if we sign those 3 players, those 2 central defensive players, and that striker, we could push for playoffs. That's how easy this division is because of how consistent it is. And I think we've got a really good manager in charge, and I trust them unconditionally. I just need to see those slight extra additions to feel really comfortable. Obviously, apparently, rumours that we'll have 1 or 2 out as well, so we'll wait and see about that. But yeah, I think it's a good squad overall. I wouldn't be surprised if we pushed higher up the table, but I think we should be okay and comfortable with mid-table, considering we've got the takeover on the horizon. Any improvements on last season is a bonus, and we're shifting up that table quite quickly. Then that'll be exciting stuff. Players come in, I think, are really good players. Billy Blacker seems to be a defensive midfielder. Taylor Harris, between a striker and a sort of attacking midfield, where Amari Patrick would play, I think he will play there. But it's an exciting team. I think we really need those 3 players back, or not back even, just in as signings, and we'll be there or thereabout. But we'll wait and see. Obviously, more improvements on the horizon, and you never know. But I trust Andy Crosby with whatever the squad may be to do the best he can. But like I say, three signings would take it up to 26. It's about the average in the division, and I think we would be done then. The final team would be Walsall. Now, they've signed Aidan Flint, which I think is a good addition after David Okadboy left for Peterborough United. So I think it's a good swap there. One going to League One, one coming down from League One. Both for undisclosed fee, but I'm sure they've got more than they've paid. Now, we certainly had criticisms again for Walsall and our predictions. I think we do underestimate Walsall, and I'm sorry for that. But as I was talking about the morale, the mentality, and the downward spiral that they faced from January onwards after sort of letting go of Nathan Lowe was tremendous. They really, really struggled. They could never get it back. Not once could they get it back. And I worry that's going to carry into the new season, and it may not, but I worry it will, and I worry that they're going to take a lot of time to get back together as a collective squad. Now, these outgoings are big outgoings. Aaron Sturr, Gordon, Daniels played, especially Taylor Allen, and as I say, Okenboy, people are sort of not too fussed about, but still a fairly comfortable loss. And potentially people are saying that is sort of, Matt Sadler would be getting rid of the players that maybe kicked up a fuss at the end of the season or had complaints at the end of the season, which is potentially the reason for their downfall. I'm not too sure. I think they'll still have that hangover from last season. And it'll take a while to get over. But I think Aaron Presley, a good striker addition. Johnny Stuttler, if he continues his form in pre-season, he will do well. 3 loan signings already. They're about done. A squad of 24. A couple more just to add a bit more quality, I think, and they would be there or thereabout. Harrison Burke is a really big one for me. Obviously, I live around the area. I've seen him play for Chester. He's a brilliant player, brilliant ball-playing central defender, but also a goal scorer from those set pieces. He's really good at that, and I think he will prove well for Walsall. Maybe not as a starter, but he's young. He will improve, and he'll continue to improve. I've put them in 15th. As I say, I'm not sure if Matt Sadler will last if they start the season poorly, but I think overall they will be okay. I know it's a downward trajectory from last season. Obviously, I mean there were so many points ahead in first. If I said they're going to come 15th in League Two next season in December time, I think Walsall fans would have thought I was crazy. But I think that's sort of the stability they need. I think that downward spiral is so hard for League Two teams to stop. But if they do it, then I'm sure they'll have a good season. I just think it might take a little bit of time before that they stop that downward spiral. But that is all the transfers. There weren't many. Like I said, probably about 10, 11, 12 transfers. There's not many at all. But I've had my say on the League Two teams and a little bit of an idea on my predictions and why I predicted certain teams in certain ways. It'll be a really entertaining division next season. I think everyone could be anywhere. I think the top 3 or 4 comfortable, the bottom 4 or 5 comfortable. I think anyone in that middle of the pack could be either a relegation candidate or a promotion candidate, and we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. League Two is a crazy league. It always is. And I'm sure there'll be lots of twists and turns, ups and downs to come. It's a roller coaster, and that is why we love it. That's why we support it, although we hope our teams leave it as soon as possible in the right direction, going upwards and being promoted. But we'll wait and see. I think there's more to come from many, many teams. Some are ready. Really excited for Barnet's time in the division come Saturday. I think they'll do really well and surprise people. But we'll wait and see from all the teams and see if there's any more additions this week. I'm not sure if we're going to do another transfer special. This might be the final one because the season starts obviously on Saturday. We should be doing previews, I'm pretty sure, midweek. We'll then do reviews of each match at the weekend as normal, as you saw last season, coming back once again. Any more ideas, let us know. As I say, if you want to talk about your club, if you want to be included and have a little bit of a say on video, absolutely send us a message. We want to hear your thoughts too. And we'll try and sort something out when we get people from each club. And also, obviously, if you've not considered subscribing, please like and subscribe. As I say, I really want to push 3,000, which I know is a huge mark to achieve. But if we do it, it'll be brilliant. So yeah, we're really excited about that. Hopefully we can do it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's been a long one, but we've ran through each team. I hope I've given a little short view of the transfers this week, but also talking about each team's squad leading up to the first week of the season. This is the start of League Two. This is it now, and I think it was good to see where squads lie before that first game week. But it was an interesting episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't terrible. It should be the other guys back midweek, and then obviously at the weekend we'll be pushing it back up to 2-3 people on the podcast. It won't just be one person, so it'll be some really good discussion. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been the Fourth Tier Fever, and we will see you in the next episode.